Hey polish fans, it's Caroline again and welcome to another video here at Wildwind Lacquer. In today's video, we are doing more comparisons from that huge haul of estate polish that I got last year in 2023, and I am starting on the Rescue Beauty Lounge. 12 we're comparing today in the purples and berries on into red. After that, we have about 40 more polishes, and I think I am going to do a little bit of a rearranging here, just real quick. Like I said, we have 12 polishes that I have swatched out on swatch sticks down here, and I've organized them by color. And what I've been doing in this series is basically going over the polishes that I've had in my keep pile and comparing them color-wise, if I like them on the swatch stick, and then after that we'll see how many of these I end up keeping and how many of them end up getting put into the bigger de-stash pile. Let's go ahead and just start here right at the top with our darkest shades of purple. We're going to compare the first two, and we are looking at Mismas and Pause. So these are two of the darker shades of purple, and there is a finish difference, although on camera I don't know if you're going to be able to see that very well, but Mismas is basically a cream as far as I can tell, and then Pause does have a larger particled like pink shimmer. It's also a bit more warm toned, whereas I feel like, at least in the bottle, Mismas is a little bit more cool toned. You can see a little bit of blue around the edges, but once swatched, they're pretty close. So both of these are going to be in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. So on the left we have Mismas, on the right we have Pause. So for a color this dark, I'm not sure how much of a difference you're going to see on your screen, but there is a subtle difference, but it is pretty subtle. So like I said, Mismas is that cream, Pause has that shimmer, but once it's swatched, it's not a glowy shimmer like some of the other indie polishes. It is more of just a subtle shimmer. And again, with these swatch sticks, top coats don't really do a wonderful job on these. So for this one, I think I was using a base and top coat duo from LA Colors. And it looks great when you first do it, but once it dries down, it sort of has this odd texture to it. But in any case, they do have a glossy top coat. Hopefully there you can kind of see the differences that I was talking about, that sort of cooler tone in Mismas and the deeper, warmer, maybe plummy shade in Pause. But as you can see, they're pretty close. And I will say, in person, they're not quite as dark, at least as they are coming up on my screen as I'm filming. So the question is, do I think I need both? Do I need to de-stash one? Honestly, with that larger particled shimmer, I see it so much better here in the bottle than I did on the swatch stick. Like I said, it sort of gets drowned out with that base because it is only a 2-coater. I mean, you can kind of see the little sparks, like right there, that little twinkle. So it's in there. I mean, it's not like it's not there, but it isn't a very pronounced effect. I mean, it's pretty though. I actually really like the dusky quality that this has in the base. Just trying to decide if I need to keep it or not. I think for the time being, I am keeping Mismas. That's the purple cream. Obviously, I will have to do, as I have been saying with all of these, I will have to do comparisons once I'm done with all of this. And before I officially add these to my collection, I need to compare them to all of the other purple creams, or at least a few of the darker shades, and just make sure that I don't already have a purple cream in this specific shade. But for the time being, I am going to keep Mismas. And I think I do want to keep Pause. I was leaning towards de-stashing it, but I want to see if that shimmer comes out to play a little bit better on a natural nail. Maybe if I swatch it on me, I can actually see it, maybe use a better top coat, because in the bottle, I mean, look at that shimmer. It's really, really pretty. And I keep going back to it. So that speaks volumes if I keep going back to it. So I will go ahead and keep Pause as well. Okay, moving on to our dustier, like chewed up grape bubblegum shades. We actually have 3 of them. One of them is a lot darker by comparison to the other 2. We have Purple Haze, Will They, Won't They, and Forgiveness. So obviously these 2 are the ones that are closest. That's Will They, Won't They, and Forgiveness. And Purple Haze is a bit of a darker shade, but in the same range. And actually on camera, it's coming off blue, which is odd. I think that's just that separation that's happening in the bottle. There is a bit of blue in that one, but let's go ahead and see them swatched. So for these, we have 2 coats of Purple Haze on the left, 2 coats of Will They Won't They in the middle, and 3 coats of Forgiveness on the right. So these are different finishes, and even though it doesn't look like it, all of these do have a glossy top coat. So again, that's just the, I don't know, finish of these swatch sticks coming through. Obviously, Forgiveness comes off with the best glossiness, and I think that's because it is a jelly-like cream and it just naturally has a good glossy finish to it. Now Purple Haze is also a cream, but I don't know, it still has that silly finish to it. Will They Won't They does have a subtle shimmer in it, which is going to be hard to see, but you see those light blue and gold twinkles in there, almost like a speckled look. So that has something else going on in it. But for all fairness, let's go ahead and just gloss these up again. So there, maybe now you can see the shimmer a little bit better in Will They Won't They. And you can see that that is a cream finish in Purple Haze. And here is Forgiveness to throw in the mix. So I don't see any dead-on dupes, although I still think that Will They Won't They and Forgiveness are the closest of the 3. Purple Haze I do really like. This is again another color family that I'm going to have to do comparisons of, but for the time being I do really like this one, and the formula on that one is really nice. So I am keeping Purple Haze, that's the darkest of the 3. So here we have Will They Won't They and Forgiveness next to each other, and even though they are very, very close in color, obviously finish-wise they are different. There's that slight, subtle, silverish glow or shimmer particle. Also has some aqua in there. It is very subtle though. This is another one where I feel like on the nail, at least in the swatches, it really doesn't come off very in your face. There it is on the nail. I mean, you do get those little tiny aqua flashes, but it's, again, super, super subtle. I could probably get a better shimmer payoff if I just put an aqua topper over one of these colors of chewed up grape bubblegum in a cream that I already own. So honestly, I think Will They Won't They is going to be our first one that we're going to go ahead and destash. Yeah, for this one, I don't know. It just doesn't have a unique enough look to it, whereas the one that I did keep that had the more subtle shimmer, which was Pause, I feel is potentially unique enough that I do want to try that one out. So I do think we're going to go ahead and let Will They Won't They go as our first destash, and then Forgiveness. I mean, this one is a beautiful shade. If you've watched any of my other videos about colors that I like, or where I mention colors that I like, this is one of those shades that I do mention quite a lot that I just love on. I find it very flattering, but that also means that I have this color in a lot of other brands, and this is a 3-coater, so it's more of a squishy look. And usually when I am wearing a cream, unless it's very specifically for a pond manicure, I want it to be opaque all on its own, usually in an easy 1 or 2 coats. So I do think I'm going to let Forgiveness go as well. All right, next up, this one doesn't really have anything to compare it to. This one is a Lucille? Is that Lucille? Anyways, this one is a shimmer polish, and it actually has kind of a teal base going on. There's also some warm shades or shifts that are happening. There's a larger particled shimmer. So this one has a pretty complex formula compared to the other finishes that we've looked at so far. This is it on the nail in 3 coats. And I think there you can kind of see that teal that I was talking about. Right there, you can see it at the point where the nail meets the stick. But yeah, very unusual shade, and because of that, I will be holding on to that one. It's just a very unique polish. I mean, of course, with all of these, I do plan on doing comparisons, but I think that one's pretty interesting. All right, moving on. we're going to compare these two. Even though I know they're not dupes, on the nail, they actually look a lot closer than they do in the bottle. So we have Pretty Gritty and Scrangy. So Pretty Gritty has that golden, larger particled shimmer. Scrangy has the aqua. Both of them are a shade of kind of this raisin-leaning purple. There's more of a dusty quality to Pretty Gritty. Scrangy has more of a berry tone to it in that raisin family. And here they are on the swatch stick. Both of these are in 2 coats. Pretty Gritty's on the left, Scrangy's on the right. Here you can tell very well the shade difference. There's more of that raisiny, almost brown lean in Pretty Gritty. Scrangy has that berry lean. Both of these, again, because they're 2 coaters, aren't really popping with that shimmer. Even with that predominant gold that you were seeing in the bottle in Pretty Gritty, it isn't really coming off super strong on the stick. But let's go ahead and gloss these ones up too as well, because again, top coats for these swatch sticks has been my nemesis. It just doesn't work. I've tried a few different top coats on these, and I almost am wondering if I need to preemptively maybe base coat these, if that might help. I don't know. If you've experienced the same thing and found a solution, please let me know. Because I have a lot more of these to go, and I am using up top coat like a madman. But there we have them, both nice and glossy. And I mean, you can see the shimmer. It's there. But like I said, it's not in your face. It's not a glow. But they do look nice. I mean, it definitely has an effect on the polish. It's obvious that they aren't a cream. You can see the gold in Pretty Gritty. You can see a bit of that aqua shift or glisten in Scrangy. And both of them are beautiful colors. So in this instance, I'm keeping both of them. They're unique enough from each other that I do like both of these shades. And they're both 2 coaters. So we are keeping Pretty Gritty and Scrangy. All right, next up, this one doesn't really have anything to compare it to. And this one is called... I'm not even going to attempt this one. Rouge is the only one that I could even remotely say at the moment. But in any case, that's a beautiful shade. It is in a curly, squishy formula. This was a 3-coater when I swatched it, and as you can see, it is still a bit on the squishy side. So this might have been formulated to be more of a true jelly, a squishy polish meant to be worn in a sheerish way. It is a nice color. It's just, I don't know, it's not unique enough or opaque enough really to catch my attention. So I think we're going to let this one go. We're just going to go with it. All right, next up, this is another one that doesn't really have anything to compare it to. This is one of the reds we're getting into. And this one is called Lotus Elise. This one is a brighter shade of red than the other 2 that we're going to look at. And this one has a larger particled, almost micro flake. And I'm seeing gold and a little bit of like a fuchsia popping up, maybe some orange. So there's a lot of fiery colors going on. This is another 3-coater, so a bit on the squishy side, but you definitely can see the particles on this. Again, that's another reason why there are often changes in formulas, or some are 3-coaters. This is why, because you can see the glitter and the shimmer or the particles in it much better when you have a sheerer base. But yeah, this is a nice glistening, kind of pinky leaning red. And this shade range of red has definitely been growing on me within the last maybe 2 years at this point. 1.5 years at least. But I'm trying to decide if I already have something close or if I feel that this would stand out among the other colors that I have. And I don't know, I'm a little bit, not even on the fence, just sort of iffy about it. So for that reason, I do think I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. I'm just not as in love with it as I could be. And I am trying to get better at destashing ones that I'm just okay with. So Lotus Elise is going to be our, 4th one destashed. Okay, moving on, the last 2 we are going to go ahead and compare. These are our darkest shades of red from Rescue Beauty Lounge. We have peachypolish.com and Killa Red. Obviously, we are dealing with a difference in finish. Peachypolish.com is almost, at least in the bottle, kind of a pearl or metallic, and then Killa Red is a jelly. They are both in a deeper shade of red, almost like a Bordeaux or wine. We're dealing with a 2 versus a 3 coater. So peachypolish.com is a 2 coater, Killer Red is a 3 coater. Again, that was the one that was a squishier formula. And again, with these, we are going to re-top coat them because you really cannot even tell the Peachy Polish one has that finish. It just sort of dried to a weird finish. And again, I'm not blaming the polish. This is an instance that I've been dealing with across the board brand-wise when I swatch on these sticks. It's just something I haven't quite gotten a solution for. But there you can kind of start to see that almost like velvety finish in peachypolish.com. And then you can see that squish factor to Killer Red. I think you can see it a little bit more there on my messy, sloppy swatch there. But this one does get opaque in 3 coats. I mean, this one is one of the more opaque jelly or squishy finishes. I'm definitely keeping this one. Peachypolish.com, this one has that velvety, beautiful finish. I love this kind of finish, especially in these deeper tones. And this one, once it's swatched, almost has this like very deep mauve lean, which I love. So peachypolish.com is definitely a keeper. And then for Killer Red, this one is the least unique of this shade, especially in this finish. I feel like a deep jelly red is kind of the go-to finish for this kind of a color. So it definitely isn't unique. And because of that, I do think I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. It is another 3 coater, and I do feel that I have a color or colors very similar to this already, maybe even in creams. So I am going to go ahead and let Killer Red go. So that makes 5 polishes that we're going to go ahead and destash and 7 that I am keeping. So not bad. I mean, that's very close to being half. Not bad at all. Let me know down below which ones were your favorites. For me, I gotta say, the Peachy Polish, I mean, we're dealing with purples here, but I'm going for a favorite in the red family, if you can believe it. Peachypolish.com just really stands out to me because of that beautiful, velvety, metallic finish. It is just beautiful. But I'd also say Scrangy gets up there in my favorites as well because of that beautiful aqua larger particle in that purple. Really beautiful. And then of course I gotta give it to Purple Haze as well because that is one of my favorite color families of the chewed up grape bubblegum. I think we're going to close it out there. I think that I did pretty well in this, and I hope to continue that on. Like I mentioned before, I am trying to get better about letting things go. I mean, obviously I'm going to run into situations where I'm going to, like in this case, keep 2 that are pretty close to each other, but I like both of them. But when I am hesitating, I am going to try to force myself to just go the destash route. But as you guys keep reminding me, with these older polishes that are no longer available, giving myself a bit of leniency is also something I'm trying to remind myself to do as well, because if I were to get rid of these and then want to find them again, it would be very difficult to do. So I think I did pretty good. We'll see how we do in the next round. Like I said, we've got about 40 more polishes to go in the brand Rescue Beauty Lounge, and then we'll see what other brand I dive into with this project. But hopefully you guys had a good time. Again, let me know which ones were your favorites down below. As always, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me for a while and looking at beautiful polish. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day. If you're new, think about hitting that little subscribe button down below. That way you don't miss out on any of my new videos, and I will see you in that next one.